None of them not there on me level. They not even I know how I do it. I just do it like Jordan or you, we know Shaquille or Kobe, and no one can stop.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Empress Lika, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about this red clay from Mofajang. I think that's how you pronounce it. Excuse me if it's not. Okay, so I did a review earlier on the purple one, but there are some differences with the red that I wanted to talk about, as well as I wanted to answer a couple of questions that you guys seem to commonly have. So the first question that I seem to get a lot about this clay is, does it transfer? Yes, it does. It does transfer a lot. I would recommend maybe blow drying it if you wanted it to be drier, but I didn't want to blow dry mine because I kind of feel like the heating up of the chemicals on my locks, I just didn't want to do it, and I haven't put heat to my hair in years now, so I just didn't want to use the blow dry. But if you do want to speed up the drying process, I would recommend that, because it seems like it only transfers so much because it takes a moment to kind of like fully dry. It's a process for it, so I would say it does transfer. For example, you can actually see it all on my back here, and it's all on my ear, so I would be careful. So I would definitely be careful with that. The next question that I get about this hair clay a lot is it easy to wash out? Yes, it is. It comes out with your regular shampoo. If you was to just do your regular wash routine, it will come right out as if you never had it in there. So I really like this clay because I've always been hesitant to actually dye my hair because I don't want to put my hair through those chemicals, and I'm really scared about that. So I just kind of feel like this is a fun way for something temporary. The third and last question that I think I get a lot is how long does it last? And I want to say that it lasts, the longest that I've worn it is for 3 weeks, but by that time it does start to fade away in a way. Like, it does start to fade away, so I would be careful with that. But I washed mine out before I went past 3 weeks, so I can't speak on how much longer it will last, but I do know that it will give you a good solid 3 weeks. So one thing that I felt like was really different with this clay that I preferred with the purple one was I just kind of felt like the purple covered my locks better. I was really expecting a very bright, vibrant red because the purple had covered my dark locks so well, and I kind of assumed that the purple would actually be the one that didn't cover my locks as well and not the red. So I would say, like, if you really wanted a fiery red color, this is not going to get you there if you have really dark locks like mine. But if you are happy with like just a burgundy kind of dark red type of color, then this is definitely the way to go. So I'm getting ready to show you guys how to do those styles and then the thumbnail, so let's get into it. Okay, so for this first style, the first thing that you want to do is separate your front hair from the back, but try to put more hair in the back than the front because you don't want too many locks in the front for this style. The next thing that I would recommend is that you just take some time to kind of like figure out how you want to style your hair. You can try to do the exact design that I have, but I wouldn't recommend that because we all have a different amount of rows and, you know, different size locks and things like that. So I would take some time to kind of figure out how you want to style them, which rows you want to cross over, if you want to cross over 2 rows or 3, things like that. Just take a quick moment to do that. So for this first part, I'm only doing 1 row going back on this side. And so the first thing that I'm doing is I twisted the first 2 going back, and then I take that third lock and I twist it over the first 2, and then I combine them by braiding them on down so that it doesn't unravel. The next thing that I'm going to be doing is separating my next 2 rows so that I can just kind of get an idea of how I want this next part to go. I'm also going to be adding some moisture. There's actually rice water in here, and I'm going to be adding castor oil so that I can touch up my locks before I re-twist them like I'm doing here and before I start this next style. So it's really important that for the crossing of the 2 rows that you separate the first 2 locks of each row. So I would definitely recommend touching up the locks before you start this process. But once you touch them up, you want to take the bottom row and cross it over the top and combine it as if you're twisting them back. But instead of using the lock that goes in that row, you're just going to use the opposite lock. So I'm going to do the same thing with this part. So as you can see, I took that lock from the top and now I'm combining it. I'm combining it to the bottom row. I'm twisting them like I did with the first row. I twisted the first 2. Now I'm taking that third lock and I'm twisting it over. And now I'm combining it and braiding it on down. So this is how it should look. Now this is the finished product. of when I just, added some more crisscrosses and things on the side. So once you finish that part, the next thing that you want to do is separate your hair by 2 halves in the front. And you want to start to braid the locks up like I'm doing here on each side. So some of them are kind of thick. You can let your locks be a little loose if you want to, or you can kind of keep the braids tight from the style. But I'm adding my scrunchie here, but I would recommend that you add a rubber band. So for this next part, what I did was after I braided the other side up, I took this first half and I'm tucking it in. I'm folding it in like I'm doing right here, and I'm tucking it. And then I'm going to take this other braid and wrap it over. So I just kind of have like almost like a crown look on top of this style for the top of my head. So what you also want to do is take a bobby pin, kind of push it down and play around with it. Like this looks a little lopsided right now, but I'm going to kind of push the braids around and push the locks in a certain area so that can kind of look more well put together. But you definitely want to get your bobby pin. What I did for my bobby pin was I stuck it through my rubber band that I put on the tip of my other braid on the other side. That way, when I wrapped it around to the back, I could just easily stick it in and it would actually hold the whole braid, instead of trying to stick in a bunch of different bobby pins. I did that instead. But I would recommend using other bobby pins to secure this style if you want. I only could find one, so that's all I used. So here's how the style looks when it's finished, and I absolutely love this style because it just makes me feel like a queen. For this next hairstyle, I kept the design that I originally had from the first hairstyle, and all I did was take out the 2 braids that I had to make that crown look, and I separated them into parts of 4. I braided them down, and then I twisted them around to create these Bantu knots. This style was actually a little difficult for me. As you can see, I'm pretty focused because the locks didn't really want to stick in there, but if you use a rubber band like I'm doing here to reinforce them, they should stay. But again, all I did was take the same hairstyle I had before, separated it into parts of 4, and then, actually, I also pulled out 2 locks in the front just to give this style a little bit more extra flavor. And then I braided the rest and then twisted them into knots. So here's the final hairstyle. This last hairstyle, all I'm doing is taking out the 2 knots on the side. I'm taking out the style that was on the side so that I can have this really cute hairstyle, which is actually my favorite. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe and give me a thumbs up, and feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.
Each other for another. We said it will be forever, yeah. So we just a play a role. Nothing just ice, it's cold. But me can't stop love you.
Everywhere with you, when me turn is a lesson learned. For our time, for we burn, we should make it burn. We try